Let's talk about callback auditions today. What is a callback? What does it mean when you get a callback? What are the different types of callbacks? And what should you do when you go to a callback? What's up, my fellow actors? Welcome to the Acting Career Center, here to help you learn the skills you need to break into the film and television industry. My name is Kurt Yu. Thank you so much for spending some time here with me today. If it's your first time here, make sure to subscribe to this channel to get more videos on acting, auditioning, and career advice. So this is kind of neat. I have my first sponsor for a video, which is not really true because I'm not getting paid for it, but I am promoting a product that I really like from a friend of mine. It's called ChronicleCoStudio. It's from my friend Hannah Panuski. She is an actress here in Atlanta, but also a very talented sketch artist. Check out this cool new t-shirt. Check out this awesome new mug. If you like either of these things, you want to get one for yourself, head on over to Chronicle Collective Studio on Etsy. I'll put the link down in the description below. You could save 15% with the discount code ACTINGGOALS. Now, I did say earlier that I wasn't getting paid for this, which is not 100% true. Hannah gave me a few of these mugs. However, I did purchase this t-shirt with my own hard-earned money, and I really love it. Hannah prints her animal sketches on t-shirts and mugs and tote bags and cell phone cases and a few other things as well. So the link is in the description, and don't forget to use the discount code ACTINGGOALS to save 15%. Okay, so today's topic is callback auditions, or simply callbacks. Most people in the industry just say callbacks. First, I want to thank my YouTube subscriber, Aussie Girl, for recommending this topic. She pointed out that I haven't talked about this yet, and it is an important topic. So let's talk about why we need to know about callbacks and what they're used for. First of all, I think it is important to point out that there is no universal standard for how the casting process is done. There's kind of a general process that most casting directors use and directors and producers use, but everybody has their own little quirks, and so not everybody uses the same kind of system, right? So callbacks are, the definition of a callback is basically another round of auditions. So think about it like in sports, right? Remember in high school sports, where there might be an open tryout for a sports team. And then in that open tryout, the coaches might select the top 10 or 20% of those players that were there and bring them to a second round of tryouts. And then after that, they eventually make their final selection, right? So a callback is kind of the same way. It's a second round of auditions. Think about the first audition as the first round of auditions, and then they may end up selecting their top 10 or 20% of people that they like and bring them in for a second round. Now, like we said earlier, it's important to understand that not everybody does it this way. There are plenty of auditions that won't have a callback. There are plenty of auditions that will only have one round, and then the casting director and the director and the producers, they will look at everybody and then they will make their casting decision off of just one round of auditions. However, there are some projects and some roles where they will want to bring people in for a second round. And there are also projects that have more than two rounds. Some have 2, 3, 4, or more rounds of auditions, again, depending on the project and depending on the role. Often, the bigger the role, if it's a leading role in a movie or a TV show, sometimes they will have many rounds of auditions because it's a really important casting. So they'll have more rounds of callbacks to determine who they want to eventually cast. So what happens at a callback, or what should you expect? Well, first of all, I would say that whatever you wore for your initial audition, wear that to the callback. And whatever you did from an acting standpoint for your initial audition, do that at the callback, because that's what got you the callback in the first place. Don't just change it up all of a sudden because you got a callback. But don't be married to your way of doing things. Expect them to give you direction for your character. When they do that, it's not because they didn't like what you did. Part of it is that they just want to see if you can take direction from the director. Most auditions these days are self-tape, meaning we tape our auditions at home and then we send it off. So they haven't had a chance to interact with us yet. At a callback, they are usually live, either live in person or live on Zoom virtually. And since it's live, they get a chance to interact with, number one, the human being that they're going to be working with, and number two, they get to talk to us as actors and give us adjustments. So you may do a performance the initial way, and then they could tell you, hey, let's try it a different way, give you an adjustment, and they want to see if you can adjust your character and adjust your performance to fit what they want. So expect that to happen in a callback as well. Okay, so you've been hearing me say they may want you to do this, or they're going to ask you to do this, and they. Who is they? Who is going to be there? Well, just like we said earlier, every audition is going to be different and every project is going to be a little bit different. But for the most part, the casting director will almost always be there, but sometimes they are the only ones there at a callback. Other times at the callback, maybe the director will be there. And this is true for both in-person and virtual callbacks. So as an example, when I auditioned for the movie Greenland, they had a callback that was in person. And at the callback, the casting director was there, but the director was also there. And he did exactly what I mentioned earlier. I did my initial audition, then he gave me some direction, and we did it again. And when we did when I did the Super Bowl commercial, that was a virtual callback on Zoom. And the director was also there on the Zoom callback. And in that instance, it was the casting director on one part of the screen and the director's on another part of the screen. And I did my audition, and then the director, she gave me some feedback, gave me some direction, and I did it a different way. So the director could be there at the callback depending on the project. Oftentimes that's called a director's session. It's still a callback, but there's just that specific terminology that's sometimes used when a director is present. Sometimes the producers may be there depending on what round of auditions that we're in. Sometimes the network executives will be there. Again, this is getting into when you are auditioning for a bigger role and there are multiple rounds of callbacks. That's when the producers might show up, or the network executives might show up. And similar to director sessions, those will be called producer session or network session. And then there could be another round of callbacks where there is a chemistry read. What is a chemistry read? This, again, is when they're casting major leading roles. For example, let's say they're trying to cast a husband and a wife for a movie, and they're the two lead characters for that movie. Now, up until the first 2 or 3 rounds of those auditions, they may have been narrowing down their choices for the lead actors, but they've only seen them individually up until this point. Now they may bring those actors in together for a chemistry read and have them do a scene together. The reason they may do that is to see, like that term implies, chemistry between the two actors. If there's no chemistry there, if they aren't believable as husband and wife, that's going to translate on screen. That's not going to be good, right? So they could be great actors individually, but they don't necessarily have chemistry with each other, and then that kind of makes the story fall apart. So that's when they may bring in actors for a chemistry read. Once again, this is getting way ahead into the much bigger roles. Typically, when we're starting out in the beginning of our careers, we're auditioning for smaller supporting roles in movies and shows and other projects. And typically, those types of roles will either be cast off of the initial audition, or there might be one round of callbacks, just like what I had with the movie Greenland, just like what I had with that Super Bowl commercial recently. One quick tip about virtual callbacks, guys. Please, please, please practice them beforehand. Practice the technical part of it. Make sure your Zoom and your lighting and your camera and your microphone and all that is working. Don't wait until your actual callback and try to get everything set up. So how do you practice? Well, the day before, let's say you have a callback on Friday. The day before, on Thursday, set up a test Zoom with your friend and do it exactly like you would set it up for your callback the following day. Have your camera set up, whether it's your camera on your laptop or your phone or however you're going to do it, but set it up exactly that way and make sure you have everything ready to go for your callback the next day so that when you get there, you aren't worrying about the technical aspects of it and you can just focus on your performance. All right, guys, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Remember to check out ChronicleCoStudio on Etsy. And until next time, keep practicing, keep learning, and I hope to see you on set one day.